Hi, Raisa.
Hi,
Where were you born?
I was born in Ukraine.
And where did you grow up? What city? Or
It's a small city named Trostyanets.
how many?
It's shtetl.
Was it like kind of small?
Yeah,
How many siblings did you have?
I don't have any siblings.
What languages do you speak at home? Did you speak any other languages?
I spoke at home Russian, very seldom Ukrainian, and my parents spoke Yiddish in between them when they don't want me to understand what they're talking about. But with time I start to understand Yiddish, and I still understand.
What is your birthday?
July 13, 51.
What was Jewish life like in your town?
It wasn't Jewish life in my town at all. My parents used to have Jewish friends, and we usually get it together at holidays, but it wasn't possible to get together at Jewish holidays.
What type of school did you attend?
Public.
Did you speak Yiddish at home?
I still understand Yiddish and I can speak a little bit, not fluently.
What were the names of your parents?
Mendel Gorbati and Leika Gorbati, Leika Gitter.
What did your parents do for a living before the war?
Before the war, Mama was, her entire life, she was chief of lab in huge alcohol factory, and Papa was head CEO of big company.
What did they do after the war?
My Manitote was a Second World War survivor, and Mama was run away from Germans far away to Siberian. After the war, they continued to do the same.
Did your family belong to a synagogue?
No, it was impossible.
Why was it impossible?
It wasn't synagogue.
There was no synagogue?
No.
Did you have any formal Jewish education?
When I start to grow up, sometimes when it was dark and night, my dad seated on my bed and he explained it to me a lot. Who I am, who I belong to, what was Jewish holidays, and when it was Passover or other Jewish holidays, my mama quietly gave me to wear a golden pendant underneath of my clothes.
What was your most favorite thing you remember that they taught you or told you about?
You mean related to Jewish or? It was when my mama started to bake motzi. Of course, it wasn't even kosher, but Mama did it like her parents did, like her grandparents did, and she did it until she was alive.
Did you have grandparents alive when you grew up?
No,
What was Shabbos like in your parents' home?
just a regular day. It was impossible to keep Shabbos.
Did you know about Shabbos?
Oh yeah, I did.
Did you build a sukkah in your parents' home?
You couldn't even imagine how impossible it was. It was. It's like, I don't know. It was easier to kill somebody than to build sukkah.
So what was it like being a Jew?
You have to be a survivor.
Did you have matzah on Passover?
Yes, my mama baked it. It wasn't kosher, but it was matzah.
Is there anything memories you can share about your Jewish life while you were growing up?
We used to live at part of town where it was just 3 Jewish families. Of course, we all was friends. And we has very anti-Semitic environment. I grew up, I remember myself being, I don't know how old, very, very little, when I just opened the door of my apartment and kids sitting in a sandbox, and it was like a little song about kikes.
Cakes?
Kikes.
What is a kike?
You're lucky. You don't even know what does it mean. You couldn't even imagine how lucky are you.
Can you tell us why it was so impossible being a Jew there, where you lived?
Excuse me, one more time.
Can you tell us why it was so impossible?
Ukrainians are pathological anti-Semite. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it was running in the families, even little kids, when they don't know who I am. And they was just against me because I was a Jew. They didn't like me, they hate me, it was everything involved.
Is there one main memory that stands out about your childhood?
Good or bad one?
Both.
Both. Good, it's when I remember my parents, they was such a great people. They was Jewish and they raised me like a Jewish kid, and they always told me to be a Jew, marry a Jew. And the bad one, when I came to university for exams, they told me you better go to different city because head of university is a great anti-Semite and it's no chances for me to get to.
What happened if someone tried being a Jew?
For Jews, it was very hard to go to university. It's very hard to go to get a good job. You have to be 10 times smarter than you not Jew to get the same job.
Is there one thing you could relive or revisit? What would it be?
I have to go to United States 15 years earlier.
Were you involved in religious or other Jewish cultural activities growing up?
Oh yeah, especially before I came, when after Perestroika we start to have Jewish communities. I was the one who started it, and I was involved very deeply, and I used to work for Joint. They paid me, and I did a lot, and I'm proud of it.
What made you want to start it? What made you want to start it?
It was something which was planted to my soul. And it's grow up when it was possible.
Were there any pogrom in your town? Pogrom? Were they in your town?
Actually, it was in different city. I moved to bigger city, Vinnytsia. And I was involved with many programs, especially Nale, if you know what it is. I was involved with people who went to Israel with repatriation. I was involved like librarian. I have many jobs.
What were all your jobs? Those were all your jobs?
And I used to cook for community, which I continue to do here, and a lot of more.
Can you describe your childhood and what Jewish things you did?
It wasn't much Jewish things at my childhood, because impossible to highest level. It was forbidden, impossible. Just no. At home, yes, it was matzah, it was babkes with matzah, it was what also. And I remember my dad used to give money to synagogue. It was, quietly.
So did you celebrate any Jewish holidays besides like Passover?
It was absolutely impossible. We have a meal, a special meal at this day, because nobody even knows when it was Jewish holidays. What people did, Jews did, in bigger city where it was synagogue, they of course know when it will be, when holiday will be, and they sent people to smaller towns, and they went to Yared, to open market, and they told people quietly, after tomorrow will be Passover. After tomorrow will be some other holiday. And this is how people know when holidays will be.
Did you ever experience Yom Kippur?
Oh, no. No.
Are there any other childhood or teenage experiences or memories that you'd like to share?
Some stuff I just would like to forget, but some I remember well. When I got to university, it was very liberal school, where a lot of professors was victims of Stalinist regime, and they was in concentration camp. And this why in my university it wasn't anti-Semitism at all. I remember one girl opened her mouth, but everybody make her shut up. What also? I have a good job, good education, but of course the only what I'm sorry about, I wasn't born in the United States.
Did you hear of the rabbi?
And I remember my daughter told me, when it was end of the war, and my daughter was a commandante in Czechoslovakia. He was a captain, and he was commandante in a city in Czechoslovakia. City named Olomouc. And emissaries from Israel came to him and asked him to move to Israel right away. And Papa was officer, he was with a lot of experience, he was in artillery. But he has a lot of relatives in Ukraine, and he knew if he will move to Israel and the Russians will discover this, they will kill all of them, and he didn't do it. They promised him to be a general right away and to be, but it's never happened.
Was there a mikvah where you were?
I learned this word when I came to United States. I didn't even know such a thing exists.
If you knew so little, why was it important to be Jewish to you?
It was planted well to my brain. And it was not just planted, it was developed well. Because my parents always told me I'm Jewish. And all entire world told me I'm Jewish, I'm kaik. Finally, I start to ask myself, what is being a Jewish? And I start to find answers. And I decide to be a Jew, always. I grew up in a little shtetl. It was about 8,000 of population. Before revolution, it was something about 26, 27 hundred of Jews. Half of it was killed during the revolution. And they wasn't killed with somebody who came from far away. No. They was killed with their neighbors. My parents grew in a different Jewish town named Chechelnik. In April 1919, when it was pogrom, my grandma went with all her kids to hide in the pound in this tall grass. I forget the name of it. And my grandpa told everybody, okay, I will wear twill and nobody will touch me. After pogrom, when grandma was returned with kids, grandpa's throat was cut from ear to ear. It was in April 1919. My mama, after those, it wasn't in April, it was in October. They seated in very cold water, and Mama got sick after this, and the rest, her siblings was sick, but they survived. Then they moved to this little town where I grew up, and environment wasn't very excited, because most of Ukrainians was pathological anti-Semitist. It was anti-Semit. They was even little kids. They can throw stones in your window. They can beat you up after school. They can just with no reason, just for fun, because you kike. They can what also, to make a career, my mama and dad working their tail off, both of them. They worked sometimes 12 hours per day, sometimes 14, whatever was necessary. My mama was a great singer, and she used to sing. Her partner singer has 2 boys. And those 2 boys was always my worst enemy. They always call me a kike. They always trying to push me, to hit me, do everything. Mama used to cry in front of those women. And she told me, oh, come on, they're just kids. But they have to take this from somewhere. Kids cannot grow up without somebody told them what to do and explain to them who is who. Then it was school. In school was a little bit easier, because in school it was a lot of Jewish kids who came from different part of town. And it wasn't worth kike, almost. Sometimes it was, of course. Then it was college. In college it was mild, because my curator in college was Jewish. And then it was university, where, like I told you before, it was very liberal. Then, but in my childhood, it was like a stigma. You will never understand this, how it's grow up to be stigmatized. Now I realized how it was. But when I was grow up, I thought it's normal to be stigmatized for being a Jew. Now I know it's absolutely impossible. It's never could happen to you. It's many things. But then, when I was in university, I make a bet with somebody, and I read it all 55 books of Vladimir Lenin. I won the bet. After those, I start to hate regime in Russia as far as I can. I did everything to not get involved in in regime's events and such and such and such. It wasn't easy, but I did it. And then perestroika came and everything started to change, and I started to be involved in Jewish life, and my daughter went to Jewish Sunday school, and she came home and she told me, Mama, in Israel, life is very hard because everything is kosher. Pork is kosher, chicken are kosher. And I remember the story. It was quite a story. In Russia, Stalin created place for Jews. If you know geography, Russia, it was on Chinese border. Many Jews went to it, but it was impossible to live in, and they went out. But some stayed, and they have a Yiddish magazine. And this name of this Yiddish magazine was Sovjetische Heimland. And it was half of it in Yiddish and half of it in Russian. My cousin David Gitter and I, what we did, he wrote letters, Sovjetische Heimland and Yiddish Sovjetische Heimland, and under other, and he memorized them all. And he started to read this magazine. But in his family, his parents wasn't speak Yiddish. And he could not understand what he's reading about. In my family, parents spoke Yiddish, and I understand Yiddish. And I start to translate to him what he's read to me. And we was extremely proud of ourselves because we're doing something very Jewish. My father came to the room and he asked, what you kids are doing? We told him, okay, we're reading Yiddish. We're doing something. And my father used to go to Cheder, and Grandpa was a rabbi and Melamed. And my dad just looked at me. He sighed and said, Mamzers. You can't even understand why he called us. Because we lost everything Jewish. Not everything, but most of it. Like mamzers who don't know who their parents are. And you who have your bar and bat mitzvah and shul, you will never understand this.
What do you think our generation can learn?
It's our youth generation. My idol in my life is Golda Meir. I read it about you a lot, and I just adoring who she was, and she's amazing. What you can learn is, first of all, being a Jew, always. Being a Jew like a person, being like Jew like a boy or girl or man or woman. Being a Jew is too proud of your past. We have to know Israel is the only country in the world who during past 3,000 years live in the same place, speak in the same language and perform the same religion. We have to be proud of it, and we have to continue to do the same.
Were your grandparents religious?
Yeah,
What can you tell us about them?
they was Hesed. It's like most of Ukrainian Jews. Grandpa was a rabbi, and he's buried in Chechelnik, and they keep kosher, of course. They keep all Jewish holidays. They kept all Jewish holidays. They raise their kids like a Jews.
Is it important that Jews continue to exist?
Usually, Jews are for every nation like a salt or like a yeast. And it's very important for us to exist because we have much higher standards of life and human being than some other people. And most of us. I learned not long ago, Israel do not have a foster home. They do not have foster kids at all. If somebody is foster, just in a moment, somebody is taking this kid to their family, and this child is growing, having parents, siblings, and etc.
What is the most important message for Jewish youth today?
For Jewish youth? To be a Jew is most important is to be in a match, to have ability to share, to help, to continue to learn, to get education, to get, if you're not shluchim, to get a career, but also to build a Jewish community. If it's no Jewish community, to build it. If it's no shul, to build it. If it's no rabbi, to get from somewhere. But have Jewish education for kids, have have Jewish tradition, Jewish religion, if it's possible, language, to keep all of this. We are keepers for many, many years, and we have to continue to be like this. My papa ran away to farm, to kolkhoz. When Second World War started, of course he was on the scene of war, he was artillerist, it's a different story. But Mama ran away from Germans, and people told her before she ran away, why you do this? Germans will come, you're working in the huge factory, they will need this factory, they will need you, you will be in the same position. But Mama has those instinct, and we have some gold from family. For this gold, she bought a carriage and a horse. And they ran it for 1,000 miles until they reached Siberia. And I remember I used to buy a gorgeous shoes. Something like this, but on very high heel. Red one. I was young and, And I came to Mama and show her, and Mama, look what I bought. And in Russia, everything was on demand. And she told me, oh, they're so gorgeous. Are they comfortable? Yes, of course, yeah, they important from somewhere. Okay. And then Mama looked at them and told me, you know what? You cannot run away in them. Could you imagine? And that's pretty much it.
Can you tell me what the revolution was? I've never really heard about it.
Any revolution in the world which was before and this one, it was horrible. And who was guilty, of course? Jews. You couldn't even imagine how many Jews was killed in revolution and in another.
Can you tell us briefly what the revolution was? What the revolution was? Tell about the Tsar and the revolution and who, what?
Before revolution, most of Jews used to live in those gleaned shtetl, and it was restricted by money. Jews cannot own a real estate. Jews cannot own the land. But the only what they can do it's negotiate, buy and sell, and Geschäft. And Jews was very involved in revolution because of this. They would like to have freedom. And to get to big city, you have to have account in the bank which was 20,000 rubles, which was huge amounts of money, maybe like $1 million now, $1 million. I don't know how to compare. And most of Jews was involved in revolution, most of them, but old people wasn't. And Jews who wasn't involved in revolution was killed, simply killed. And you couldn't even imagine, blood just was streaming on the street. After revolution, it was Stalinism. When Jews who was in high position, who was graduate from university, who was head of companies, who was a grocer, machers, was arrested and killed in camps. Then it was Second World War, where Jews who was lived in, who wasn't run away from Germans, was killed, all of them. My husband's family was killed, all of them. His father wasn't killed because he was on scene of war. His uncle was. His mama was run away. The rest was killed. My husband's sister was just smashed with a car over the wall. She was 16. Her name was Sarah, and she was 16 years old. My cousin Cyril was raped, and she was, after those, she died just from grief in 2 weeks. A lot of my relatives was killed in horrible concentration camp, named Dead Loop, which was not far away from Chechelnik. They just pull in from my memory stuff which was hidden far away, and now I start to kind of pull them off to bring them to the surface. My family wasn't poor. My mama and papa make decent money according to everybody else, but everything was so in demand, you couldn't even imagine. When Marina was 4 years old, we have a bag of money, but we cannot buy shoes for you. In Russia, it was 2% for Jew to get in university. It's not exceed 2%. If it over 2%, you can be the best, but you will not get to university. In Russia, everything was about bribe. You can give bribe, you can get job, good job. You give bribe, you get clothes, food, everything. That's how it was.
Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we end?
You couldn't even understand, and you will never understand, and Baruch Hashem, you will not. How fortunate are you? Because you have everything to be a mensch, to be a person, to be a Jew. And you have to appreciate this. You have to learn, you have to be, you have to... I always told my daughter, your soul, it's like a garden. And weeds growing by themselves. But anything what you planting, tomatoes, potato, you have to fertilize, you have to grow by yourself. And you have to grow in your soul, inside, deep, to be nice, kind, to get everything Jewish in your soul, not just, on surface, inside. Inside, deep inside. This is pretty much it? Okay.
Thank you, Raisa.
You're very welcome.